What if I told you that one flower completely changed the way I look at color combinations? Today I'm sharing a card inspired by a color palette I never thought I would use, let alone fall in love with. With summer finally here and beautiful flowers blooming everywhere, I have been finding inspiration every time I step outside my house. Hello, crafty friends. I'm Revati, and welcome to my crafty space. Today, I'll be turning a summer inspiration into a beautiful floral card and showing you exactly how it all came together. Well, a few days ago, one particular flower caught my eye. It had the most striking blue and yellow color combination, and I just couldn't stop looking at it. Those colors were so vibrant, fresh, and unexpected that I immediately knew I had to recreate that feeling on a card. So, of course, I rushed home and started digging through my floral supplies, looking for the perfect stamp set to bring this color combination to life. That's when I came across this absolutely gorgeous Build a Garden Leaning Lily set. It comes with everything you need. We have a stamp set, coordinating die, layering stencils, and even a blending brush. Now, the flower that inspired today's card wasn't actually a lily, and well, honestly, I'm not even sure what kind of a flower it was. But what I loved about the leaning lily was those beautiful open petals. They felt like the perfect canvas for recreating that stunning blue and yellow color palette that first caught my eye. I absolutely love Altenew's Builder Garden sets. They really take the guesswork out of card making because everything coordinates perfectly. For today's card, I'll be using the large floral image along with one of those included sentiments, and we'll be die cutting both of them later. Now, you could easily color this beautiful floral image with alcohol markers, watercolors, or any other coloring medium that you enjoy. But I decided to use the coordinating stencil today and to build up those beautiful colors. It is a quick and easy way to add beautiful shading and dimension while still achieving a detailed hand colored look. I started by stamping both the floral focal point image and my sentiment on a white cardstock panel. You'll notice that the sentiment ended up being a little crooked, but that's not a problem since we'll be die cutting it with the coordinating die later on. To make sure I got a nice crisp impression, I stamped both the images twice using a pigment ink. Then, while the ink was still wet, I added a layer of clear embossing powder and heat set it. This gives the stamped lines a beautiful glossy finish and helps them stand out once we've started adding all that gorgeous color. Before you start stamping, don't forget to prep your cardstock with an anti-static powder tool, especially if you're planning to heat emboss. This helps prevent any stray embossing powder from sticking where you don't want it to. Also, if you're using a pigment ink but aren't planning to heat emboss, be sure to give the ink plenty of time to dry before you add ink or add color to your stamped image. Pigment ink stays wet much longer than dye inks and can easily smear if you're not careful. Of course, another option is to use a dye ink which dries almost instantly and works beautifully for stencil coloring techniques like the one we are using today. Now, even though I knew I'd be die cutting both of these images, I still wanted to minimize any warping from heat embossing process. So rather than holding my heat tool in one spot, I kept moving it across the surface until all of that embossing powder had melted. This helps distribute the heat more evenly and keeps the cardstock much flatter. Once I was done heat setting the images, I let the panel cool down for a few seconds before placing the coordinating dies on top. It's a small step, but an important one. While the embossing powder hardens almost immediately, giving it a moment to cool down helps prevent any accidental smudges or fingerprints in that beautiful glossy finish. After that, I lined up the coordinating dies and ran everything through my die cutting machine, giving me a perfectly cut piece that were ready for the next step. To keep my dies from shifting, I like to secure them with a little bit of washi tape. You can absolutely use low tack tape or any temporary tape you have on hand, but I have quite a collection of the washi tape sitting in my stash. Over time, many of those older rolls lose some of their stickiness, which actually makes them perfect for this purpose. They still hold the dies in place while being gentle enough to remove without damaging the cardstock. It's a great way to put those neglected rolls of washi tape to good use. Next, I went ahead and placed the die cut floral image onto my sticky mat, and that's when the magic really starts to happen. Now, this set includes 4 coordinating layering stencils, and each is clearly labeled, making the coloring process incredibly easy. I'll begin with stencil number 1, which adds color to our flower petals. Now, for the centers of the flowers, I started with the shade mid yellow, which is a fun, vibrant yellow. That'll create that beautiful warm glow in the inside of our flower. Then it was time for the color combination that really inspired this card, which is combining that warm glow of the yellow with gorgeous blues. For that, I chose two shades. We have Blue Horizon, which is the lighter blue, and Ride the Wave for that darker, more intense shading on the tip of the petals. Now, using Blue Horizon as my main color, I blended over the petals and then added Ride the Wave just to the tip of the petals to create depth and contrast. The combination is so striking and really captures the look that first caught my eyes outdoor. I repeated the same color combination on all the petals as well as the smaller buds throughout the stamped image, creating a cohesive look across the entire floral arrangement. I'll be honest, when it comes to coloring florals, I usually gravitate towards the more traditional color palettes, which is pinks, oranges, yellows, and purples. But I'm so happy I stepped out of my comfort zone for this card. This blue and yellow combination feels fresh, vibrant, and so different from anything that I would normally create. It's amazing how much inspiration nature can provide. I never would have expected that a simple walk outside would lead me to such a beautiful color palette, but that's exactly what happened. It's a reminder to keep our eyes open because inspiration can show up in the most unexpected places. Once I was happy with all of that beautiful floral coloring, I moved on to the leaves. For those, I used fresh leaf and reindeer moss, which are true bright, vibrant greens from my collection that complemented the bold floral colors perfectly. The combination added just the right amount of contrast while keeping that fresh, summery feel throughout the entire design. While I continue blending in the rest of the colors, I wanted to take a moment to share a little exciting news with you. This video is part of the Altenew's June 2026 release Instagram Hop. Now, if you'd like to join in on the fun, be sure to head over to my Instagram page where you'll find all the Hop details, inspiration from other talented designers, and information on the Hop giveaway. Altenew is giving away a total of $300 in prizes. So you'll have a chance to win one of the $100 gift cards or one of the four $50 cards. To enter, simply follow the hop instructions and leave a comment along the way for your chance to win. I'll also include all the giveaway details and relevant links in the description box below, so be sure to check that out after you've done watching this video. Once all the layers were completed and I lifted off the fourth stencil, I was honestly in awe of how beautiful this floral image came together. The colors looked so vibrant and every detail just popped beautifully. What I really love is not just the color combination, but also how incredibly detailed these stencils are. They make it so easy to achieve that dimensional layered look with very little effort. You could definitely take this a step further by adding extra shading or fine details with your alcohol markers, but I decided to leave mine just as is and let the stencils layers shine on their own. For my background, I wanted to add a little bit of soft texture, so I reached out for a brand new stencil called Flourishing Coral Stencil. Now, this is also part of the June release, and even though it has a very ocean inspired design, I wanted to show you how versatile it can be. You can really use it in so many different ways. Originally, I plan on doing some partial stenciling, adding the design just on the upper portion of my panel. But once I placed my stamped image on top, the background felt a little incomplete. Luckily, since the stencil has that repeating pattern, I was able to easily line it up and extend the design across the entire background for a more balanced look. Now, for the color, I used the same fresh leaf ink, which is the shade that I used for the leaves and stems in my floral image. I kept the application very soft and subtle, and in the end, you'll notice that I didn't even cover the entire background. I intentionally left some open spaces around the edges to keep that design very light and airy because I wanted our main floral image to be the focal point of this card. Next, I added some soft ink blending using fresh leaf ink in the area that would sit diagonally opposite to my floral focal point. This helps balance the composition and guides the eye across the card. It also tones down that stark white space peeking through from behind the stencil background, making everything feel more cohesive. I really love how this subtle blending adds depth without overpowering the design while still gently drawing your attention back to that beautifully inked floral image. Well, if you've been following my work for quite some time now, you will know that I can never resist a good splatter moment. So I took my background panel over to my splatter box and added a mix of black and gold splatters across the design. I kept this step very loose and unintentional, letting the splatters fall naturally across the panel, moving from top left down towards the bottom right. This direction subtly echoes the placement of my floral focal point image and helps guide the eye across the card. The combination of black and gold adds just the right amount of contrast and interest without overpowering that soft, stenciled background. It's one of those finishing touches that really brings everything together. While my panel was drying, I went ahead and die cut the floral focal image and the sentiment from plain white cardstock. I'll be stacking these layers to give the focal point a bit more stability and dimension. You could definitely skip this step and simply use foam tape instead, but I personally love doubling up my die cuts. It adds that extra bit of sturdiness and balance to the finished design, especially for larger focal point images like this one. Now, to assemble everything, I first used some low profile foam tape to adhere my dimensional floral piece onto that beautifully stenciled and splattered background. This helps it sit slightly raised while still keeping a clean, polished look overall. Once all the foam tape was in place, I carefully peeled off the backing from the foam tape and aligned the floral image onto my card background. I absolutely love how those colors came together here. The bright yellow, blue, and the fresh greens in the flower really pop against that beautiful textured and stenciled background. It's such a beautiful contrast and it really brings the whole design to life. Now you'll notice that there's a small part of the stem that extends slightly beyond the edge of the panel. I simply trimmed it off with my scissors to keep the edges clean and give the design a more polished finish. Also, I forgot to mention earlier that this particular panel measures 4 by 5 and quarter inches, which is slightly smaller than your standard A2 size card base. I like working at this size because it naturally leaves a white border around the panel, framing the design beautifully and giving it that clean finished look. Now it's time to adhere the sentiment. Since the sentiment overlaps the floral focal point image, I had to be mindful of all that added dimension underneath. Instead of stacking multiple layers of die cut sentiment pieces, I trimmed them strategically and only added foam tape where it was needed to match the varying heights of the focal point image. This helped me build just enough dimension in the right areas so that the sentiment sits more evenly across the design rather than looking uneven or tilted. It's a simple little trick, but it really helps everything feel cohesive and well balanced in the very end. And with that, our beautiful card front is ready. All that's left to do is mount it onto a card base. I used foam tape to pop the entire panel up, adding just a bit more dimension and making the focal points stand out even more. And just like that, the card comes together in no time. Simple, dimensional, and full of beautiful texture and color. I absolutely hope you enjoyed creating this card with me and found some inspiration to try a new color combination in your own projects. Don't forget to head over to my Instagram page for all the details on the Altenew's June 2026 release Instagram hop, along with a fun giveaway you won't want to miss. Also, all the supplies that I used in today's project will be listed in the description box below, so be sure to check it out if you're looking for anything specific. Also, please note that all of those links are affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I'll get a small commission at no cost to you guys. Thank you again for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe.